Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. This is going to be my Korra fan commentary track for K208 Beginnings Part 2. So once again, continue to give me your suggestions for future episodes you would like me to do in this Avatar and Korra commentary series. I always want to know which ones you guys want rather than just doing the ones I kind of think you would like. I have loads of suggestions, of course, that you guys have put in on previous videos, so I have a lot still to be working with. But yeah, as for the instructions to set up your episode, to work with this commentary track, I'm going to stop speaking as part of this introduction to the video in just a little bit. There will be about a 10-second pause with no audio, and then when I start speaking again, that's when I'm going to press play on my copy of the episode. That's when you should press play on your copy of the episode. And we should be synced up within about a second or two, and so the commentary should be working all right. So yeah, I'm going to stop speaking now in just a second, and when I start speaking again after the pause, you hit play and you should be synced up. Okay, so here we are with K208 Beginnings Part 2. Like I said in the previous video for Beginnings Part 1, this is my favorite episode of Avatar, so that means it's my favorite episode of Avatar or Korra together. That is how much I love this episode, because it hits all like the world building elements that I want, while still having the strong character development that you expect of Avatar. So I think it sort of represents kind of everything that Avatar is in kind of one nice package, especially when combined with Part 1. So yeah, just showing you that once again, like, this is Korra experiencing this vision. There's a significance to it. We're not just going back to the past, just for the sake of it. It's an important story, but she's finding out about this for a reason. She has to know where the Avatar started to know where the Avatar sort of needs to go, but just to reconnect here. And here we go, right back in. Juan has made a mistake here in freeing Vaatu from Rava. And yeah, Juan makes these great points here, just sort of balance, that the world is home to everyone, humans and spirits. He's the one bringing up both, species, basically. Rava's only really talking down to humans, and she's not really talking about spirits, which is an important, I think, dynamic for her. As the spirit of balance, the spirit of light, it is interesting to see at this point the idea basically that Juan is sort of a more fleshed out, he's a more developed character than she is. But they go their separate ways at this point. She doesn't want his help. How could a human help a spirit like her? She'll deal with it. And here we go. The early airbenders. You see their tattoos are different because this is prior to them, learning the ways from the sky bison, because of course the arrows directly, is because of the sort of arrows on the sky bison. So, that's a really cool little thing there. That just works really well. That the idea of them having tattoos was sort of there from the beginning, but the shape of them changes over time as they learn from the animals the best way to utilize airbending. But yeah, it's so different as well. Like, airbenders today, like, that we see can't do that. This is an example of, like, this would be a really cool thing to see come back. That said, I think they're very high up here, and so it might only be a technique you can do if you're really high up near the clouds. But still, we didn't really see Aang do it at that point either. So yeah, they give theirs back as well. And yeah, there's such a risky move here from Juan to get over. But that's just the character that he is. He needs to have that sense of adventure to be, the kind of hero that the Avatar needs to be, as well as having the perspective of humans and spirits. And he's coming here peacefully. He's just interested to see different people. And you can see the spirits live here peacefully with the humans, because they have a better dynamic here. They're surprised to see someone looking so different than them. And even the airbenders who kind of, you know, interact with spirits quite regularly are like impressed with that idea. Oh, you've been out in the wilds with the spirit. That's, you know, they just want to talk to him about that. And yeah, we see the spirits immediately go from light to dark. And you can see that the airbender culture is a little bit different here. The colors and some elements are still there. But you can see that the idea of, like, even the kids have the tattoos, and they're obviously not master airbenders, so the changing of the way the tattoos are incorporated in, it's pretty cool. Not to mention the idea of, like, that it's clearly families living together here. There's still a monk element to it, but there's still, like, men and women and children living all in the kind of same area, which is different than the way it is with the 4 temples. But Juan's stepping up, because he knows he's sort of responsible for this, to try and protect the people. Obviously permanent bending, so he has the fire bending. And he is a proper bender here, so very skilled. And here's Rava again. And you can see, like, she looks even smaller than the last time we saw her. Which is a plot point that's significant later on. I love Vachu's voice. It's perfect for, like, the spirit of darkness. All he wants to do is just spread darkness around. And they're just like, oh, harmonic convergence, what's that? It's a pretty crazy 2 words. And again, she speaks down. They know kind of she's the great spirit. How did that happen, Juan? I liked a little bit of sass there from Rava. Ask this guy. Yeah, that's what he's doing. And yeah, presenting that idea of, as he turns more of the spirit population dark, he gets bigger and Rava gets smaller. Whereas Rava, when she's in the ascendancy, doesn't purposefully turn spirits light. They naturally take a sort of light form. And obviously being light doesn't cause an effect on the world particularly. Whereas the darkness does. And yeah, you can't carry 2. And the light turtle considers it. It's like, maybe. But right now, Rava has to hold the power. Highlighting the idea that, like, humans can learn to contain more power within themselves. It just takes a very, very long time. And ultimately, like, Juan doesn't really accomplish that feat of being able to hold multiple elements at once. But the things you have to do to make it happen, obviously. You have to have access to a lion turtle who will give you the ability, a spirit who will increase the energy within you, and then time to make it all happen. It's a very specific set of circumstances that allows this to happen for Juan. And yeah, here's the explanation for harmonic convergence. So a year until it happens again. And obviously it's happened so many times before this as well. And here he is, firebending. And now he's going to try air. And so she's going to pass through him, basically a brief spirit possession, and she will take what he has within him and give him the other one. And in doing so, she will impart some of her energy upon Juan, which obviously will enhance what he is able to do. Basically a very brief avatar state type maneuver. And the more this happens, the more energy Juan is able to contain within his body. So the more he's able to handle Rava being inside of him, setting up the idea of the avatar state, which he kind of uses later on in the episode. And yeah. So presenting the idea of neither can fully ever destroy the other. And yeah, even if they do quote unquote destroy each other, they'll always be reborn within each other in time. The problem, though, even though, neither of them could die, is that if darkness takes over, it'll be 10,000 years of darkness. Whereas 10,000 years of light is just the world normally. It's not changed from what it could be if it was not light or dark. I love this music, the discussion here about why is the conflict the case. So he gets water here. North and South poles, the spirit portals. He obviously goes into the desert to get the Earthline turtle. So interesting, he doesn't get one from sort of mainland as you'd expect it. He specifically goes into a desert. And yeah, humans are separated from one another, lost touch with each other. And this is an interesting perspective from Rob at this point, thinking humans are selfish without properly understanding the situation that they're in. The reason they have to settle on the lion turtles is because it's so dangerous with spirits around, unless they have the bending. And that's the different perspective. Juan gets both of them. It takes her a while with Juan to get it. Yeah. And he's correct there. It's not just that he's getting more talented as a bender, but physically he is altering sort of the way his chi path works in a way to be able to contain more and more energy. Still not enough to where he contains multiple elements at the very same time here. He still ultimately swaps between them, as you basically will see in the episode. And again, look how small Rob is. Juan's taller than her now. And yeah, Firebenders, and here's Jaya from before. And this is this really happy reunion. They were inspired by him. And he thinks great until he figures out that they took a very different path. Yao died in it. So just the idea of humans and spirits were fighting, and some of them died. They probably hurt spirits along the way and so on. And they're like dark spirits. Is there a difference? And that's the difference. And that's the point here of most human and spirit conflicts that happen in this era are literally spirits are powerful, they are dangerous, humans only care about themselves, so both sides are immediately at odds with each other without properly understanding both sides. And one's like, oh, what's going on here? And this is, I suppose, the idea of Jaya has sort of taken on the path of Juan as he was about to go on, if he wasn't banished, of he led a rebellion. It was sort of a violent rebellion. His banishment ultimately sort of helped him in a way. It's kind of like Zuko. Just it helped him to see the other perspective. And you see he's caught in between his two friends here, his spirit friend and his human friend. And he gets the issue kind of on both sides. Why the humans would be afraid, and why the spirits would be afraid equally. That the humans are kind of more vulnerable, even though they have bending now, they're still more vulnerable because spirits, even if they're killed, will just change form. And while it's still a death, they use a regeneration to make that happen, but it's still terrible. And yeah, here's all the spirits going dark because of the influence of Vachu. And obviously it's this idea of chaos becomes this sort of exponential curve. The second some of it starts, it begins to affect more and more, and it just becomes this unstoppable thing eventually. When there's enough chaos, suddenly everyone thinks it's chaos, and then it gets worse and worse. And yeah, here we go. This is basically the Avatar state right here. Juan able to use all four elements at one time, exuding energy. It's not exactly the same because they're not fully bonded, but still, it is that power. And he's not the Avatar yet at this point. But all of the, elements are there. But here's the idea of what they said at the start. If a spirit stays inside a human too long, they will die. But Juan, the fact that he was able to do that for that long, bend four elements at one time, will a spirit inside of him, while not being bonded forever, speaks to, the growth that he went through. But he, because of that, he wasn't strong enough to actually change things there, stop this battle. And you kind of question, Is Vaatu being truthful there? Has Jaya and the rest of them just been killed there? I'm not sure. Because obviously you have to apply the idea that there are multiple lion turtles out there. There's not just 4. There's more than that, as we'll see in a minute, by the end of this episode. And yeah, look how small Rava is now. There's the teapot from right at the start of Beginnings Part 1. We saw this. He's kept it all this way, and she's inside it now. And this is what kind of makes it this Avatar relic. She stayed in this for part of the journey, and it's forever sort of imbued with light. Very cool idea of an artifact. And yeah, here we go. The development. She didn't know because until one, she hadn't given any of them a chance. And that's the kind of key learning of this arc, is just to be open to what the other side has to say, basically. And yeah, the optimism of Juan here, not giving up hope. And we'll see that she will learn that when it comes to the scene where Juan dies. Here's the spirit portal. And yeah, this is this incredible moment of like he's walking into this fight with Rava in a teacup, but he's going to fight for her because he caused this, basically. He's making amends for this. Tree of Time. This area is so cool. The 2 spirit portals, the most powerful like object in the Avatar world, right in the middle. Yeah, and look how giant Vaatu is there. The usual sort of style. You can see the little extra points coming off all of the kind of separate points. I love that aspect of it as well. The detail of the designs basically also changes as they get bigger and smaller. Like Rava's parts are a lot kind of chunkier now that she's tiny. But yeah, here we see a bender versus Vaatu. What a great line there of just like, I've been alive so long, I've seen humanity evolve from nothing into being humans as you are now. And this is a really key line. He broke the divide that separated the 2 worlds. That the reason spirits are in the physical world in the first place, why when we enter Beginnings we're in this situation, it's because of Vaatu's kind of actions. Yeah, and this is a very like Star Wars dark side type thing. The more you fight, the more kind of anger, emotion there is, and it just makes me stronger. Well, I'm barely staying in the fight at this point, just being a firebender at this point. That's his element at this point. So yeah, he needs all 4 of them to make it happen. So yeah, Avatar state once more. Proto-Avatar state. And immediately it's different. He has the movement ability of like, airbending. The ability to just on the fly switch between all elements. The power to really hit home as well. But yeah, he's really getting sort of blown around the place as well. But I love the sound effects of just the little kind of ping as he hits and sort of damages Vaatu. Really cool power, but like a different type of Avatar state battle, because modern avatars, they do the typical like kind of sphere of each element, but like one you can see here just floats around on a cloud. It's a lot more basic. Like there's not that experience of all these years, because he's only like a true bender of one element, because he didn't learn from like the moon, sky bison and badger moles for the other 3 elements. So like he's not the most powerful avatar purely just because of that lack of experience, which is why the avatar state, how it works, is so important, of like the knowledge, experience and like borderline technique of all avatars constantly being stored for all time is so significant. But yeah, spirit beam. And it makes sense for these beings where like their design is just basically pure energy, dark or light, that they would fire just energy at him. And yeah, despite everything, it seems like he's lost. There's the planets, and you can see they're different than the human world. Like the order of them, it's not just the exact same. So like, what are the names of the planets in the Avatar world? What's the name of, is it Earth? I don't know. But yeah, really cool. I always loved that design of just, you know, the Rava pattern coming through the human avatar's body, channeling the power of the portals combining. And yeah, here we have the formation of the avatar, the bonding of human and spirit, balance within one person, basically. What a line here. What a great moment. I love that Rava says it. She's perfectly fine with this. An all-powerful spirit fine with being sort of inside a human. And then just the immediate difference in the sort of power level now that it's not like so dangerous for one to do this. Because the energy problem is solved. His body is changed to be able to basically hold unlimited energy. When you really truly break it down, that's what makes the avatars of humans so special, really. They are a container for basically an unlimited amount of energy. And yeah, seals inside the Tree of Time, victory at harmonic convergence. And it's a true victory in the sense that it's not just Rava has like wrestling control over Vatu and they'll fight for the next, 10,000 years all over the world or whatever. It's Vatu's locked away. Just the human factor was key in turning the battle. And yeah, this is the decision that comes back in, like, they reference it in book 2 and in book 3, and of course at the end of book 4, it's a key point. At this point in time, it's the correct decision, though. Humans need to be able to sort of grow and thrive in their world, separate from spirits, and it is a case of, like, true peace, balance between humans and spirits. There's a reason it takes up until Korra for the topic to really even be broached. New Age, we go from the era of the Line Turtles into the era of the Avatar. Yeah, their time protecting humanity is over. And they leave humans with what they have. You see the battle between the three nations. The air nomads don't seem to be involved. It's just water, fire, and earth benders. And the mission forever is to help towards peace. But yeah, you see he's in the middle of the battle. This is obviously the area from Zuko alone, which I did a commentary on like last week. And this is really tragic, the Avatar, he was so optimistic and he kind of dies in battle, not able to bring peace between humanity. He seemed to create a nice dynamic for the humans to be able to thrive, but unfortunately he wasn't able to do it all. But Rava can see the value in someone like him in every generation. He had an effect on the world, and why have that stop with just him? She'll be with him for all of his lifetimes. And that's it. The Avatar cycle is the decision of Rava to go ahead with all of his reincarnations. That, the Avatar is a friendship between a human and a spirit, when you really break it down. And yeah, she remembers nearly everything, as we find out. Yeah, here's the other Sky Bison. This is a great reveal. Since the 100-Year War, they've raised this herd of Sky Bison. So, I guess this is where Aang finds the other Sky Bison? Maybe? Please tell that story. And yeah. And then, yeah, just shocked, like, we just learned about harmonic convergence, and the next one is this coming up. But now Korra has so much knowledge about what's going on. And that's the significance here. She gets it going into this. Unalaq is all about, the dynamic between humans and spirits. That's his speciality topic, is his dynamic with the spirits. Now she sort of knows stuff about that on par. And now she is properly spiritual. She gets the dynamic of the situation, who the main villain and threat is, who shouldn't ever be let out, and what the Avatar means and stands for. And it really helps to build, of course, to this idea of that shocking moment when Rava is taken out of Korra and destroyed, and along with it the past lives are destroyed, and we're left in the finale with Korra not as the Avatar at this hopeless moment. Can she do it? After she's just learned the origin of the Avatar, how it happened, how Wan made all this stuff happen on his own, what can she do without Rava? And it brings up that, beautiful plot point, that beautiful character arc of Tenzin helping her to see the idea that it's more about the person that you are. And, in that Wan was great because he was a great person, not solely because he had the power of Rava, in that he was an incredible person before he even met Rava because of, one of the first people to ever, form a friendship with the spirit and everything he did stand for ultimately. And it's the same with Korra, and I think that's such a great character arc. And it always sort of upsets me when I see people say that, all of Korra's development is just in book 4 with her recovery arc, and it's like, this book 2 arc is really, really good. This is really, really essential stuff that really helps to transition her into being the very sort of, kind of experienced Avatar that she kind of is in book 3 at the start. So, the character that she is in book 3, which a lot of fans really like, she gets to that point because of her experiences here and what she has to deal with, the decisions that she makes come the end of this season, informed both by her uncle and also what Wan did. So, yeah. Fantastic episode. I could talk about it all day. Like I said at the start, just has everything. It's not just this legend of like legendary things happening, of the spirit that is the Avatar, made this legendary decision to join with a human. No, it was this friendship that went from being this like kind of, they just had to be with each other because they were the only two people to make it happen, and a friendship ended up forming out of it. They both learned from each other, and in the end, Rava decided that the cycle is something that is needed. A Wan in every generation is an important thing for the fate of the world and the balance of the world, and it works so well for me, and is such an integral part of the book, even though it is sort of the backstory story within the book. It's still fantastic what they were able to do in just 2 episodes. It really speaks to when you really commit to writing something well so that it links in with the rest of the world, and you're pacing things well, where you're having enough character moments but also enough world building, enough plot and big moments to get everything across that you need. And it's just an example in like 44 minutes of being able to accomplish something very, very impressive. So yeah, there's very few episodes where you're probably going to see me just like wax poetic about how amazing episodes are, but there's a few others that I feel very, very similarly about, which we will cover. But yeah, that is my commentary for Beginnings Part 2. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. But yeah, continue to suggest episodes for me to do for future commentaries. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.